Hi guys, Kutemwa here, and today we're talking about working as an international student in the US. So that's the amazing thing about studying in the US is that we get to work while we're still students both on and off campus. And I'm on an F1 visa, so I'm sharing my experience for the F1 visa. Disclaimer, today is the 23rd of August 2025. Things are changing rapidly, so please be sure to double check everything I say. So I just graduated with my degree this May, and I was able to work the past 4 years. So I'm sharing my experience from the past years. So please be sure to double check on the government website because that's the most up-to-date information that you find anywhere. And to know if it's a government website, make sure it has .gov in the link. That's .gov in the link to the website. Yes. Okay, so let's get into it. So first of all, on campus. So the F1 visa allows you to work on campus, and there are things that qualify a job to be on campus. The first thing is that it has to be physically located on campus. Of course, that's self-explanatory. The other thing is that it has to be it has to be offered directly to students, right? So this means if a construction company is like doing a job on campus, you can't work for them and say it's on campus because it's not a service directly to the students. So basically, it has to be on the university grounds by the university and being paid directly by the university for it to count as an on-campus job. Okay, so the biggest thing about getting an on-campus job is that it really depends on the school that you're at. Some schools have like an official job portal where you can like go and apply for stuff. My school didn't have that, so it's really about being proactive, right? I think the biggest thing to do is ask other students where people usually work on campus. They know, maybe you ask people who are actually working jobs on campus. And so, finding out what the most typical jobs are, those are usually the ones that they will hire every year or maybe when there's a vacancy and stuff like that. And the biggest jobs that people have are like, so there's the library. I work in the library, amazing job. It actually paid the most at my school. It was amazing. But yeah, so there's the library, and then you can also work in different offices. So offices need receptionists. So maybe there's like a student affairs office, or like, I don't know, even the dean's office, like they need a student to be the one, letting people in, setting appointments, maybe working in the computer lab, blah, blah, blah. So sometimes there's like offices that, hire students. Then another job is being a tutor. So I was an organic chemistry tutor, pays really well. Of course, you have to take the class first and get a certain grade to become a tutor, but it's a common job. Another job that you can have is being a research assistant. So some professors have the capacity to pay students who do research. I was very blessed to have that, so I was paid for being a research assistant. So those are some of the jobs. Like I said, be proactive, ask students, go to those offices, ask them if they have vacancies, and get the job. So for you to get the job, you have to, for you to start working, you have to get the offer letter first. So you have to like apply to the job, get the letter, then you would go to your international student office and get a letter from them as well, applying for a social security number because you can't work without it, and then you would apply for the number. So as far as I know, it's not like selective or anything. As long as you have everything in place, they will give you the number, and then you can start working and you can start getting paid, right? So there's many things, it differs in the state that you're in, how long it will take, and blah blah blah, but just be proactive and ensure that you are in communication with your DSO, that's your designated school official. You should know who they are, but go to the international office if you don't, and be sure that they know what's going on. Ask them for advice. They probably know where other students work as well because it has to go through them. Yes. So the biggest thing about working on campus as well is that it's restricted to 20 hours a week, which is great because obviously you're taking classes. You don't want to be working like 40 hours. That's a long time to work. So it's restricted to 20 hours. So you can basically do as many jobs as you want as long as you're under that 20-hour limit. And I will link my website in the description. It's called F1 Internships, where I explain all of this information, and I link the government websites. I will emphasize this over and over. But yes, so I'll link that in the description. It has something about on-campus jobs and off-campus, which we'll talk about next. So for off-campus jobs, you have to get specific authorization to work in the specific job off-campus, right? So there's not a specific time that you have to work off-campus. You can use so there's two types of authorization. There's curricular practical training, or CPT. There is optional practical training, or OPT. You probably heard these a lot, CPT, OPT. They're like everywhere. So yes, the biggest thing is that there's no restriction on when you can use your CPT or your OPT. You can actually use them even during the semester to work off campus, except that you need the specific authorization to do so, like I said. So the biggest thing about CPT and OPT is that you have to know the difference between them, right? So CPT is curricular practical training. It's called CPT curricular because it has to be part of your curriculum. So if you want to do, say, an internship or a co-op off campus, it has to be either required by a program or a program has to be giving you credit for it. So it has to be in your program somehow. So I was blessed, I was able to do 2 internships under CPT, so I got credit for research for doing those internships at other universities. So that's if it's required, or yes, you basically need to get something from a department, like a letter explaining how it's required by your curriculum to use your CPT. And then there's OPT, which is optional practical training. So obviously it doesn't have to be required by your program. So the biggest thing to know is that there's a time restriction on both CPT and OPT. So CPT has 12 months maximum, meaning you can only use, they count consecutively. So for me, I did 2 internships. That's 3 months 1 year, 3 months the other, that's 6 months. I used up 6 months of my CPT, so I can't go above 12 months. And CPT, because it's curricular, it can only be used while I'm in my program. That's the only time I can use it. OPT, optional practical training, can be used, so there's pre-completion OPT and post-completion. So say your school doesn't require anything in your curriculum to do research or off-campus stuff, then you can use your OPT, optional practical training. But for your OPT, you also have 12 months maximum, meaning if you start using your OPT before you graduate, say you do 3 internships, 3 months each, 3, 6, 9, you only have 3 months left. That's how much you can work after your program. So most people end up using OPT after completing their program because, of course, you're trying to save as much time as you can. So if you can use CPT, I definitely advise you to use it. If not, then you can do post-completion optional practical training. Okay, so those are the biggest things. The CPT is normally used before you graduate. I mean, if you can use it, please use it. If not, you can use your OPT. So CPT is pretty straightforward for you to get it. You need to, first of all, get the internship. So apply for the internship. Make sure that they accept international students and they use CPT. I'll talk about that a little later, finding the internships and stuff. But yes, make sure that they take CPT or OPT, and they will state that somewhere. Or sometimes they'll say you have to be a citizen and stuff. So be cautious even as you apply, because you don't want to waste your efforts, get to the interview stage and then they hear, oh yeah, we can't, So do your best to find out upfront before you put in all the effort. But yes, so apply, get the position, and then you just need to talk to your DSO or your designated school official, and they will just enter it into the system. Then they'll issue you a new I-20 form. You should know what that is if you're on an F1 visa. But basically, it's just like a form that explains what your program is, and you need it to get a visa. So yes. So yeah, so you would get permission and get the new I-20, and then you can start. So it will have the specific start date, end date, and yes, that one is more straightforward. OPT, on the other hand, you need to get external permission from the USCIS. That's yes, I won't even try to say what it is, but yes, you have to get external authorization to do so. So meaning you have to apply to the government, and this is not free. I think last year, do not quote me on this because I can't fully remember, it was about $600 or so, but please double check. I should have checked before this video. I apologize. I'll probably put it somewhere on the screen. But yes, so you have to pay and then submit your application. So when you're applying for post-completion, I'll talk about post-completion because I did post-completion. So I did, like I said, 2 internships while, my sophomore year and my junior year. For my summers, I did internships off campus. And then I graduated officially in December last year. Then the beginning of this year, I used my post-completion OPT for 7 months. So I did another internship post-completion. And that's why, yes, so post-completion is very strict. They have specific days that you have to apply. You can only apply 90 days before the end of your program, and they're very strict about that. You can only be unemployed for a strict number of days. And like I said, I will link my website, F1 Internships, which outlines all of this information. So please go and check it in depth. But the point of this video is just to give you an outline. So they're very strict about when you can apply, but you don't need a job to apply for post-completion OPT. So you can basically apply while you're still applying for jobs, but then you have to make sure that you start work. Sorry about the noise. You have to make sure that you start work, before your time expires, because we do have, after I graduate, we're only given 60 days to leave the US. So, it's very strict on the number of days and all of those things. So please be keen on that. Also apply as early as you can if you're thinking about it, because of course many people are applying, and you can't start work until you get a physical employment authorization document. So yes, so please go and read links and stuff, because it's really important to know this stuff. Okay, so now the other thing is that, like I said, not every internship is going to accept international students. I faced my own struggle with this. I know, yeah, just like the pain of finding this amazing internship and then you like scroll to the requirements of like US citizen. Yeah, so there are many of them that don't accept international students. This is not personal most of the time. There are many things involved. I had to really like look into it because it was really hurting my feelings, you know. But yes, some of them literally can't have international students because of the requirements of the funding, that maybe, you know, the source of the funding that is coming from is federal, or maybe it's like you need this level of security clearance that can't go to international students. So sometimes it's just like technical stuff that they really can't, you know, get past. Like it's just meant for citizens. And then there are some jobs where you have to like prove that there are no citizens who can do the job to hire an international student. This mainly is for like full-time jobs, but yeah, it's just like it's not straightforward to hire international students. So don't take it personally when you find an internship that can't take you as an international student. There are many opportunities that will definitely have you, and that's why I started F1 Internship. So it's a website that has opportunities specifically that accept international students. It's not meant to be like a comprehensive list, but it's meant to just like provide hope and let you know, like, yeah, there are positions, and maybe one of them is going to be your next internship. So apart from internships, it has, like I said, the information on work authorization, and it has the government websites on there, and it has other resources as well if you're thinking of grad school, and other stuff like that. Like I said, I'm also an international student, so that's stuff from my experience. But I hope that helps you. Let me know if you have comments or questions, you know. I'll be monitoring the comments. And yes, thank you for watching.